like to welcome everyone to the Fat Show, where it's football all the time. I'm your host, Kevin Menton. Fortunately, you don't see D here. He is actually our director tonight. But we want to invite you here. We're talking about local content here in Oregon, in the state of Oregon. Tonight we have a guest with us. This is Art Williams. He is a Westland High School varsity wide receivers coach. And I also want to mention something important too. He also is the head coach of the JV squad and offensive coordinator, which I find interesting because, again, it's about developing for that next level. But let's get a chance to get to know Art. We welcome you here to view us here tonight. Art, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Tell me, Art, I understand you're from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yes, sir.
Now, Daytona Beach, Florida, I'm thinking sunshine, but more importantly, football. What is it like playing football in the state of Florida?
Oh, man, compared to here?
Yes, compared to here.
It's two opposite extremes almost. The speed of the game in Florida is a lot different than the speed of the game here.
Wow, okay.
Kids are bigger, kids are faster. Me growing up there, I just remember the things that I feel helped me get to the point of, helped me build my speed.
Right.
You know, I was in the first grade, I remember my mom told me never to cross the street. And so on my way home from getting off the school bus in the first grade, there was this old lady who never locked her fence.
Interesting.
And every day her dog chased me home.
Every day?
Every single day.
Wow.
Probably because I just started running before I even got to her house. So the dog just chased me.
Quite an experience there.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I think that was one of the elements that helped me build up my speed for athletics and stuff like that. And I mean, the game is it's so fast down there. I mean, you get the same thing in Texas and Ohio, California. It's just football's king down there, and it's fast.
You know, we always kind of mention on the show about what really drives an individual. And so you could say that at that moment in time, out racing a dog, as it were, to be fast was your first connection with trying to say, okay, I got to get faster.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
if I could give my cousin a little shout out.
Sure, you bet.
She, and I say that lightly.
Okay.
But she was the only person in my city that could beat me running.
Wow.
No
lie. Joke.
No lie. And I'm not bragging.
No, sure.
But if you talk to anybody that I grew up with,
right,
they'll tell you that I was the fastest person they had ever met.
And it's interesting you bring that up because really sometimes, not only from an aspect of, you know, you being young and having to outrace a dog, but you know, trying to beat the dog, but also family. There's something about family that's able to push you and really get you to go realize what you have and what you need to do and to improve. So there's always that little competition battle, right? Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
You know, being from Daytona Beach, again, we were talking about that weather and how the differences in the style of football there versus here. You know, I understand you went to Mainland High School in Florida. Explain to me, how was Mainland High School? What was that experience like of being in high school in Florida?
To be honest with you, Mainland High School was the second high school I went to.
Okay.
I didn't really want to go to that high school because all of my friends from middle school went to that high school.
Okay.
Everybody in my family graduated from Mainland High School.
Wow.
Like everybody,
okay.
My mom, uncles.
You got alums.
Everybody,
alums. Okay.
You know? And so I was going to a rival high school.
Ooh.
And I loved it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I always went against the grain when it came to the film.
All right.
And I absolutely loved it. But I actually, I got into some trouble and had to transfer to the school that was in my district.
Okay.
And that school that was in my district was Mainland High School.
Wow.
And so I ended up transferring to Mainland High School, and I mean, it was rough at first because I came from like a really high academic school.
Okay.
To a not a bad academic school, but I don't think the major, well, it's high school, so the major focus is education, but it was a little bit different for an athlete.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could say that comparison to that other school that, you know, the family went to, all through your family they had attended, this school was a little bit different maybe academically and from a standpoint of sports-wise?
Yeah, well, the school I went to
School
before.
went to, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
But the school sets the tone, I think, for the education of the student.
True.
And the student athlete. And I think that going to the school, and believe it or not, the Oregon Ducks have a current player on their team that went to the first school I went to.
Get out of here.
Yeah, his
Wow.
name's I can't remember his last name's Nelson.
Okay.
But I never met him before.
Charles Nelson.
Charles Nelson.
Charles Nelson,
is from
yes.
Daytona Beach, Florida.
Right. Oh, wow.
So if you get a chance to talk to him,
all you
talk to
Oregon
him.
fans out there, yeah, we get a chance to talk to Charles Nelson. We'll be able to mention something about that. That's good to hear. Now, I understand here when you were a three-sport athlete, football, basketball, and track.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what that was like. When you're a three-sport student athlete. Tell me what kind of, was there some hardships to actually playing all three like that and kind of keeping academics? I mean, that's a challenging thing sometimes for people.
I think the beautiful thing about it, if I can start with the beautiful part
Sure.
about it, is that you're never out of shape.
Oh, okay.
Because you go from one sport to the next sport. So you never have a break. So you don't ever get out of shape.
And you do have an edge on some of the other ones that haven't maybe had that kind of break, right?
The only difference is that when you come from football to basketball, because basketball starts before football season ends, especially if you make it into the playoffs. You're behind in basketball, and you have to shift your mentality from a physical football standpoint
Right.
to a basketball standpoint, which is a little bit more finesse, obviously. I mean, we're not going to come tackle
Right.
a guy going up for a layup.
Right.
But the major struggle was just kind of getting homework done, having the time to get homework done.
Wow.
Because it was going from one sport to the other. Even though I think in my time, because I'm a lot older now, but in my time, some of the teachers made the homework a little easier for you as an athlete.
Which is huge. I mean, that makes a big difference when you're talking about,
It could, but
not.
but if you're not one of those kind of kids that really applies yourself when it comes to academics, then it'll catch up to you.
And there's probably been some that you probably may have known that unfortunately made the wrong turns when it came to that,
Yeah.
But of those three sports, now we know you played football.
Yes.
But viewers, let's try to see if we could guess. Have a little multiple choice question here. But what was your favorite sport to play?
My favorite sport was basketball.
Okay. Right.
Basketball.
Why, and what was about basketball that really, helped you out? Is it to be a better athlete, really?
Yeah. If I think about it from a high school standpoint, though, it was mainly because people could see your face.
Okay.
And the ladies, the girls could see your face.
Exactly.
You're in an arena or a gym where the
Lights
bleachers
are
are closer, and the lights are on. You get to play music real loud, and it just the energy of the crowd was different than it was for football. People remembered you. People knew who you were based on your number in football, but basketball, people knew who you were by what you looked like.
Something about when the lights go on and, you're in that gymnasium. And I can tell you, I've been to some high school games that have a pretty up when you're talking about the cheering and the music and all that stuff. So I would imagine Mainland High School for you playing basketball was something to be something special.
It was. And then you have Vince Carter on your team.
Oh, wow.
So you didn't know what was going to happen from night to night.
Sure.
You didn't know.
Wow.
And so gyms was always packed because Vince was playing.
Exactly.
We're all hoping to get a basketball scholarship because there's a recruiter over there looking at Vince.
Hey, if he's looking at Vince, maybe see an eye on me, right? Exactly. Now, the thing about this is, talking a little bit about you and now after high school, there was a pivotal moment for you, I think, in regards to going to, obviously, let's get to first of all the recruiting. Coming out of high school, now we know that, again, your success was football. And, tell me what that recruiting experience was like. Because, now we talk about social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all these different, hubs of way of getting information out. HUDL, huddle.com is a big one. So you have these things where people utilize this technology, as it were, to really get your name out there. But tell me what your experience was like in recruiting. What was that experience?
My experience in recruiting was it was hectic.
Okay.
It was hectic. Nobody in my family had ever talked to me about going to college, so I didn't think going to college was important.
Wow. Okay.
Everybody just talked about finishing high school. Like No one in my family had been to college, so all they knew was to finish high school, and so that was my mentality.
That would be a little tough because again, you're not having somebody saying, "Hey, college, and here's what it was. What's the experience like?" So you didn't have an idea.
Yeah. And so here I am, this little kid, who was, I guess, a decent football player, and these recruiters, the letters and the phone calls, and like there's one coach after the other trying to talk to you and then coming to their school, talking to your mom, talking to your parents, and just trying to talk them into getting you to come to their school.
With the family, that was even harder for them because that's something they hadn't been exposed to, right? To handle that.
It was pretty daunting for my mom. I mean, I remember her up on 10:30 at night talking to a Michigan recruiter.
Wow.
You know, and I mean, I'm not really paying that much attention to it, but I just remember her taking those phone calls.
Right.
And back then, caller ID was really big, so you knew who was calling before they called.
Speaking age here,
This was when caller ID first came on the scene.
Right.
And you see, Michigan, University of Michigan.
Wow.
Come up on, and it's a recruiter. I'm bringing home letters every day that Coach Stanley, that was my head football coach. He was real good friends with Steve Spurrier, so I sat down at the table with Steve Spurrier.
So you had an in-home visit with Steve Spurrier
at the football office. Though.
At the football office, wow, okay.
And Bobby Bowden,
wow, okay.
So it was one of those experiences where.
Well, first, let's take it back though. What was it like having those coaches? I mean, you as a kid, you see them on TV, but you're actually in their office and talking to them. What was that like? I mean,
I don't think I understood the magnitude of it at that time.
Okay.
And believe it, like, I'm telling you the truth, man. My mentality was not really going to college.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting at the table with these Hall of Fame coaches, not knowing at the time that they were going to be Hall of Fame coaches. But I'm sitting at the table with these icons, and I'm having conversations with them. But in the back of my head, I'm not coming to your school because I'm not going to college.
Wow.
But I'm a 17, 18-year-old kid who doesn't know any better.
Right. And
there's no one in my home helping guide me along the recruiting process like it is now. But. It was a daunting experience, man. To just one of those things where you're wanted by so many people, but you just don't really understand. I didn't really understand what was going on.
And really, again, you hit it on the head, is understanding the whole process, not for just you, but also your family, taking that all in. But I think, too, when you think about today with the technology that's out there, there is so much out there that can be put on a player to say, here's an angle, here's his weakness, here's his strength. And they really zero in on some of this stuff. I mean, you being a Westland High School football coach, you see some of these kids that are coming into high school, you're seeing what they have to work with and their abilities. And so from there, obviously these students of yours or these players are going to the next level in college, they're getting that same magnifying look, as it were, in some of these way that technology is being used today. So that's interesting. Now, I find it that when you were growing up, did you have a favorite NFL football team? Because we do, here at the Fat Show, we do talk Pac-12 football, we do talk NFL football. So, speaking from an NFL standpoint, did you have a favorite team?
I did. The Tampa Bay Bucks have been my favorite team since 1982.
Wow. Okay, so when I think 1982,
we weren't winning games.
You weren't winning games, but I'm also thinking about colors.
Oh, yeah. The creamsicle uniform.
Yes.
That's what got me. Right. That was part of what got me. My whole family were Miami Dolphins fans.
Oh, so you were hearing that all the time.
Yeah, and I think when I got of age to choose my own team, which I was about 8 years old when I decided, I could have been 8, I had to be 7. Well, somewhere around there.
Right.
When I finally chose my team, I just went against the grain and I chose the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so.
And I think about Tampa Bay. I think about Doug Williams, right? The good quarterback, Doug Williams, and especially who eventually won a Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
But he started somewhere. But I remember those uniforms and the nice little buccaneer on the head of the helmet there. So yeah, but what was that like in rivalry time? Now we have 3 NFL teams, Jacksonville Jaguars, we have now Miami Dolphins, and now Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You go home, you have a family filled with different Florida teams.
Yeah. I had an uncle who is a diehard Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Diehard, okay.
I don't even know
They've been in the league for a little bit now.
Like 3 years.
Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly.
Longer than that, but
right.
I don't even know how he became a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, but he loves his team. Well, he lives close to Jacksonville too.
Okay, so he has gravitates to it, right?
And he'll call me up and we'll talk on the phone and and he'll talk smack. And I remember when Hardy Nickerson, who was middle linebacker for the Tampa Bay Bucks for so many years, ended up getting released and picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh boy!
And the phone calls. That
my goodness!
And it was I was angry.
I'm sure you heard many times from that that family member.
Even my mom, and now all of a sudden my mom's a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. So it always throws me off when she goes, "Are you watching the Tampa Bay game?" And it throws me off.
So she'll call you.
Yeah.
She'll call you.
I'm like, "Ooh, what?
Yeah. Really?
No, you're not supposed to be a Bucks fan.
This is not supposed to happen. I'm going against the grain of the family here,
Now everybody's jumping on the ship.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, and so that in itself, and being in Florida, you live in that state, you gravitate to those teams, and you kind of watch them from far. Tell me, who was your favorite NFL player, and why?
Ooh. That's hard.
As a receiver, because you were a receiver, right? You played a receiver. Now let's go back here real quickly. You played 2 years at Santa Barbara Community College. We'll get in a little bit about that from '95 to '96, and then you played for Portland State. Yeah, you went westward. So again, we'll get into that a little bit more. But in regards to your favorite receiver in the NFL, who was that? Do you think?
That's a hard one. I mean, Jerry Rice is the epitome of everybody. If you were playing wide receiver, you wanted to play the game like Jerry Rice. But the receiver that actually got me into football, that helped turn on the light in my heart for football, was Mark Clayton.
Okay.
And
Mark Clayton,
and again,
boy, did you have to hear?
Yeah. I'm not a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. I mean, I'm not a Miami Dolphins fan.
Exactly.
But it was Mark Clayton and Mark Duper, who made me want to play
Dan
football.
Marino to Clayton to Duper.
I saw Clayton. I don't know if you remember. This is gonna date me, but they were playing the Buffalo Bills, and Mark Clayton goes up to catch a pass. He jumps up, he catches the rock, and he gets hit in the legs by, I can't remember the DB name, but he does this helicopter spin in the air.
I remember that. I remember that.
Oh,
what a play!
I saw that at 8 years old, and I said, I want to do that.
See, and that's something that as a youth, that's something that you saw, and it just triggered something in you to go, that's what I want to do. But it's funny that it's not just one player. It's also a multiple of maybe players in the NFL that sometimes you want to gravitate and say, you know what, Jerry Rice had all the numbers, but something about Mark Clayton was special as well.
Oh yeah.
Way he played the game. Yeah. So interesting. So let's go back to though that we were talking about. So you went to 2 years again, like we said, at Santa Barbara City College. Was there a reason why you decided to? Because you mentioned you had some of these offers. You had some of these colleges. You had phone calls, letters. Office visits with some high-profile coaches. But why the reason to go to Santa Barbara Community College? What was that for you?
I just didn't want to go to college at first.
Okay, so that was that was the big thing. Yeah.
When I eventually stopped getting phone calls, when I just made up in my mind I didn't want to go to college, so I was just telling coaches no.
Gotcha.
When I finally stopped getting the phone calls, I was out of school for about 8 months, and I started to see my friends that I played with in high school. Because in my high school team, I graduated in 1994.
Okay.
But in 1993, we had 11 kids sign Division I
that is
scholarships.
A lot. Wow.
I mean, they went everywhere. But one friend that made an impact on me. He played in the NFL for a little while. His dad was an NFL DB for a long time. Was Antoine Wyatt. Antoine Wyatt. I always said the first school that would recruit me is the school that I would go to.
Wow. Okay.
University of Clemson was the first school to recruit me.
Wow.
I'll never forget.
Clemson Tigers, huh?
Yeah, Coach Stockstill was his name. Was assigned to recruit me, and I just remember. I remember getting in my car, leaving practice, and I had a coach. His name's Coach Fagan. Him and Coach Stockstill was good friends.
Okay.
Coach Stockstill, I remember him standing on the sidewalk, going, "I can't talk to him yet. I can't talk to him yet. I'm a junior, right? I can't talk to him yet." And Coach Fagan goes, "Well, he can talk to you.
Sure.
Arthur, come here.
Yeah.
Come here." And I go over to Coach Stockstill, man, and Coach Stockstill shakes my hand. He's embarrassed. He's so humble when he shakes my hand because he's like, "Oh my gosh," you know.
Yeah.
And Antoine Wyatt, that 1993, got a scholarship to University of Clemson. And back then, Clemson wasn't really throwing the ball. They were running the ball a lot.
Right.
And he was a running back, but he ended up playing wide receiver at Clemson, then running back. Anyways, I just remember sitting at home watching him play on a Saturday. And he had to rush. They were playing Maryland, and he.
This is the ACC, so this
ACC,
is like Florida State,
right?
You know, yeah.
And he's balling
you got
as a freshman.
Teams. Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah,
right?
and he set. Well, back then Miami Hurricanes was in the Big East.
Okay.
But he sets the rushing record.
Wow.
For a freshman, for Clemson, and I just remember sitting in my chair going, "Man, that's what I'm supposed to be doing."
Interesting that would trigger
Yeah.
that in you,
Yeah.
right? And we're talking, 8 months being out of football and the routine. Let's be honest, you can go a lot of different avenues.
Absolutely.
From that, so it had to been something where you said, okay, that time when you sat down and watched that game, something in you it burned a fire in you.
And it just because I still had that love for the game.
Sure.
But I didn't know I still had it because I thought I was going to do something else.
Right.
And I saw that game, man, and just so happened a couple weeks later, I was at a football game, an all-star football game or something, just as a spectator. And a couple friends that I played against in high school were going to school in Santa Barbara. And they just said, "Art, man, you got to come to our school, man. Like, we need you, as a wide receiver.
We could use you. Come on."
And I was, "Nah, I'm good, man.
Right.
I'm trying to kind of stay away from the game a little bit, but it's boiling inside of me because I really want to still play." And they go, "No, seriously, man, you should think about it." I was like, "Okay, I'll think about it." And then literally probably 2-3 weeks later, Santa Barbara City College coach calls me.
No, that's not cool. That just doesn't happen. I mean, there's something to be said. Something took place probably behind the scenes, possibly.
Yeah, I'm sure they went back and said
something. But for a coach to call you, have that interest in you, that's something.
And back then there was no huddle to pull up to see any film on me.
No.
So he went clearly off of word of mouth of those two guys. And I just remember I called Coach Stockstill. Now, I had no football offers after this. This is like 8-9 months later.
Right.
I called Coach Stockstill, and I said, "Coach Stockstill, if I get into a junior college, a community college, will you give me a football scholarship?"
Yeah, wow.
And he goes,
I'm telling you.
"Absolutely."
How did that make you feel? I mean, that right there, you lit up. You lit up.
I did, and that's when I went. That's one of the things that pushed me to go to Santa Barbara City College. But coupled with that was me and my stepdad, and I'll never forget this day. And I was just telling somebody this today, actually. My stepdad owned a janitorial business, and I would work with him just for some extra cash along with my other jobs.
Yeah.
And he pulls up to this intersection. We're at the intersection of Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard, and if you don't know who she is, she started an historical black college called Bethune-Cookman College, which is now Bethune-Cookman University.
Okay.
But right in my hometown. We're at Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard and Nova Road, right? Right at the intersection. He stops his truck, his van, puts it in park. I'm thinking, what's going on?
Okay, what's happening here? Right?
What are you doing?
Right.
He turns to me with tears in his eyes, and he says, man, your mom was so disappointed you didn't go to college. And I didn't think.
Right off the bat, he's saying that.
Yeah. And so I'm really looking at him like, is it my mom not disappointed, or is it you? Because you're the one crying right now.
Exactly.
And so, but I was such a mama's boy, and I didn't want to let my mom down. That coupled with Coach Stockstill and then Coach Melendez from Santa Barbara City College calling me, I went, man, I just gotta go.
So you're talking about a person. So let's take a step back. Pivotal here, because you're talking about a person that didn't want to go to college, didn't have any thinking of going to college, but then there were some things that obviously drove you, and the driving you, your mom, Coach Stockstill,
Yep.
Mark Clayton. Let's put the pieces together.
Yeah.
This is a puzzle piece that you put together that's really influential on how you were able to then take that next step. When we're talking about the next step is then Portland State University. So we're talking about a young kid. Let's be honest, a young man now going westward. What was that like coming?
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was the first time I ever been on an airplane. Back in 1995. It's the first time I got on an airplane. I just remember my mom saying, I wanted you to go to college, but I didn't think you would go way to California.
Was that hard? Was that hard at first?
It wasn't hard for me because I was excited.
Yeah.
And I had friends over there.
Okay, so that helped.
People that I knew. I mean, they weren't really my friends, but I just knew them because my uncle coached football, the football team that they played for.
Okay.
And my uncle would try to get me to come to his school. Because he worked at the school.
Right.
And he was, you can come to school here and play
Family
for me.
always has an influence here.
But
so
I never wanted to play football for my uncle, and I never wanted to play basketball for my stepdad.
Wow, that's interesting.
So, I was always against the grain.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good thing, though.